Today I want to ask you a question: are you racist? And I can answer the question for you. I'm asking it to you. And I want to explore this because as devotees, we might say, no, I'm not. But I don't think that's the right answer. As you know, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the self-realized soul sees everyone equally, not just humans, but animals. Every class of human being, every animal he sees equally. Self-realized. What does self-realized mean? Means he sees Krishna in everyone's heart. He sees the soul, doesn't see the body. When we see people, do we see Paramatma? Do we see the soul, or do we see the body? Do we see bodies we like? Do we see bodies we don't like? Are we conditioned with prejudice towards certain ethnicities? Well, we may not want to be, but we all were. If you're raised in a certain family, you've probably heard at some point that we're better than these other families, or we're worse than these other families. These families, this group is smarter, this group is more successful, this group is not as successful, not as intelligent. And whether you believed it or not, something gets in that may affect the way you view another person. When we were young, we thought the Russians were going to destroy America. We did not like Russians. When we were little kids, we used to joke about Chinese torture. In our mind, that's what Chinese people did. They tortured people. Or we'd have jokes about Mexican. And just like in your country, you probably had jokes as kids about certain ethnic groups or people in other countries. So we grow up with it. It gets in there. It affects us. We start discriminating. We start making judgments, prejudgments. We don't even know the person. And then there's certain things in Shastra which could lead us to believe that certain races or classes of people are superior. Now, one thing I would just ask you is just examine what got in when you were younger, when you were growing up, what was fed to you, and just examine, is that still there? And even though we're devotees, there's a good chance some of it or a lot of it is still there. Maybe you don't like people of a certain religion. Maybe you don't like people coming from a certain place in the world. It's possible. Now, what do we do about it? How do we deal with it? Where do we go from there? First way to solve a problem is to acknowledge it. You don't have to feel bad. It was just programmed into you. But as Vaishnavas who want to save the world, we have to be able to equally give everyone the opportunity without discrimination. So it's actually when we're preaching on that platform, when we're giving Krishna consciousness, then even though we may have prejudice or discrimination, when we go out to give Krishna consciousness, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we don't discriminate. We give it, we offer it to everyone. Every race, size, color, country, ethnicity, religion, it doesn't matter. We may discriminate because we think, oh, this person would be more receptive, but we're not discriminating on the basis of likes and dislikes. So the ultimate solution to overcome prejudice is to give Krishna consciousness freely and equally as Mahaprabhu did it. And when you're in that fire of giving Krishna consciousness, all of a sudden, any prejudices you may have had, any kind of racism that may have entered your DNA growing up, it seems to just dissipate. Last thing I want to say, and this is very important, so thanks for staying with me. Sometimes we read things in Shastra which seem racist. But it's very, very important to understand Prabhupada never dealt with anyone with any kind of discrimination. He never put anyone down because of gender, race, or color. He gave everyone who wanted Krishna consciousness, he allowed anyone to take it up. In fact, when the devotees first went to Nairobi, many Indians were coming, and Prabhupada said, not the Indians, I want to preach to the local people. The African people, we're in Africa to preach to them. So how did Prabhupada deal with different ethnicities? The way he dealt with everyone, merciful, loving, kind, compassionate, non-judgmental. And we should be the same. Hare Krishna.